The American Black Mafia family BMF, Shadow Empire of Big Meech. In the early 2000s, if you were in a high-end club in Miami, Atlanta, or Los Angeles, you knew when they arrived. The music would stop. A fleet of matching black Maybachs would pull up. And then the rain would start. Not water, but money. Tens of thousands of dollars thrown into the air, staining the floor green. This wasn't just new money flash. This was a signal. It was the calling card of the Black Mafia family, or BMF. To the public in the hip-hop world, they were a high-flying promotion agency and record label. But behind the billboard of BMF Entertainment sat a cold industrial-grade cocaine pipeline that moved thousands of kilos across state lines every month. They didn't just join the underworld, they industrialized it. This is the story of Demetrius Big Meech Flenory and the rise and fall of the most brazen drug empire in American history. But before we continue this descent into the underworld, please like, subscribe, and share this story. Our data shows that 90% of you who watch our channel haven't subscribed yet. By hitting that button, you get first-hand alerts for our new crime videos and information that helps keep you and your loved ones safe. Thank you for your continued support. The story doesn't start in a penthouse. It starts on the starving streets of Southwest Detroit in the late 1980s. Demetrius Big Meech Flenory and his brother, Terry Southwest T. Flenory, weren't born into a life of crime. They were born into a struggle. While still in high school, the brothers began selling $50 bags of cocaine. They were smart. They weren't just street corner dealers, they were observers. They saw how traditional gangs crumbled under ego and disorganization. They wanted something different. They wanted a corporation. By the early 90s, they had outgrown Detroit. The brothers split the map in two. Terry headed to Los Angeles to handle the connects, establishing direct ties with Mexican cartels. Meech headed to Atlanta, the rising jewel of the South, to build the distribution hub. This bi-coastal pincer movement was the birth of BMF. They weren't just selling drugs, they were building a national franchise. At its peak, BMF was terrifyingly efficient. We aren't talking about backpacks full of powder. We are talking about custom-built secret compartments in long-haul limousines and luxury vehicles that could hold 50 to 100 kilograms at a time. The numbers were staggering. Federal investigators estimated that at their height, BMF was moving over 2,500 kilograms of cocaine a month through Atlanta alone. That is a street value of nearly $300 million a year. But it was Meech's philosophy that made them dangerous. He demanded loyalty that bordered on the cult-like. Every member wore a BMF ring. Every member lived by a code of silence. They operated with a corporate structure, wholesalers, regional hubs, and street-level employees. Meech understood a dark truth about the American dream. If you have enough money, people stop asking where it come from. This is where the story turns from a drug hustle into a psychological masterpiece. Meech knew the DEA was watching, so he decided to hide in the brightest light possible. He launched BMF Entertainment. Suddenly, the Black Mafia family wasn't a drug crew. It was a lifestyle brand and music promotion agency. They bought massive billboards in Atlanta that simply said, "The world is yours." They sponsored the biggest parties. They hung out with Jay-Z, Diddy, and Young Jeezy. It was a brilliant, terrifying camouflage. If a BMF member was seen with a fleet of luxury cars and a suitcase of cash, they could claim it was touring money or marketing expenses. Meech became a folk hero. He was the man who came from nothing to command a kingdom. But the glitter of the hip-hop world couldn't hide the trail of bodies and the massive amounts of poison they were pumping into the veins of every major American city. Power of this magnitude always creates friction. While Meech was the face of the brand, the loud, partying king of Atlanta, his brother Terry was the quiet, paranoid architect in LA. Terry saw the writing on the wall. Meech's flamboyance was attracting the wrong kind of attention. The FBI wasn't just watching anymore. They were obsessed. Wiretaps began to capture the growing tension between the brothers. In one recorded call, Terry warned Meech that his lifestyle was going to bring the whole house down. Meech, blinded by his own myth, wouldn't listen. The empire began to crack from the inside. The family was no longer a united front. In 2005, the hammer finally fell. The DEA and FBI launched Operation Morty Vivi. They didn't just go after the street dealers. they went for the head of the snake. In a series of massive raids across the country, law enforcement seized millions in cash, dozens of homes, and hundreds of kilograms of cocaine. The evidence was overwhelming. The marketing agency was revealed to be a front for a massive money laundering operation. The wiretaps were the final nail in the coffin. Investigators had hours of the brothers discussing shipments, prices, and rivals. In 2008, both Demetrius and Terry Flannery were sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Even from behind bars, the shadow of BMF remains. You can see it in the music, the fashion, and the hustle culture that dominates social media. But the reality is far darker than a music video. The BMF era left a wake of destruction. Countless lives were lost to the addiction they fueled. Dozens of young men who sought the BMF lifestyle ended up in body bags or serving life sentences. Big Meech became a legend, but he also became a cautionary tale. He proved that you can build a throne out of anything. But if that throne is built on a foundation of white powder and blood, it is destined to dissolve. Today, Meech remains a figure of fascination, a man who ran a multi-million-dollar corporation that just happened to be illegal. He was a CEO of the shadows, but the light eventually catches up to everyone. The billboards are gone, the Maybachs have been auctioned off. The "world is yours" sign has been painted over. All that's left is the cold, hard silence of a prison cell. The Black Mafia family didn't just sell drugs, they sold a dream. And like most dreams, it ended the moment the lights came on.